Some animated movies have been doing so bad recently. And yes, I understand that these movies are made for children, but after the release of Spider-Verse, my expectations went so high, maybe a little too high. But in terms of animation style, it really is the next generation. Or a better way to put it, it shows studios what could be done. I hated the release of the Minions movie, and honestly, if it weren't for the trends that movie was riding off, it wouldn't have done as good as it did. And don't get me wrong, there have been animated films that did really good this year. Movies like Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, and a movie not a lot of people know of called Intergalactic starring Kid Cudi. Regardless of people's opinion, I think we can all agree that there is a particular animated movie that caught a lot of people's attention, and that movie is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. And it's not just me saying it, other content creators agree. The Shrek universe is filled with all sorts of crazy fantasies. We saw this style portrayed in the past Shrek movies really well, and something a lot of people notice is that it was never afraid to be mature.
Cape-wearing girl from the land of fancy. Although she lives with 7 other men, she's not easy.
Wait! Wait, where are you going? The exit's over there.
Well, I have to save my ass.
What kind of knight are you?
One of a kind.
Nowadays, jokes like this aren't accepted, and it's definitely for the better. But Puss in Boots has a different way of showing this maturity.
Help!
Sweet mother of goose, Jack!
Well, you know what they say. Can't bake a pie without losing a dozen men.
In terms of script writing, they don't stray from the old styles the old Shrek movies used to have. Instead, they refined everything about it, creating an entirely new style while keeping everything that made Shrek special. When I say the Shrek universe is filled with all sorts of crazy fantasies, I mean that in the most literal sense imaginable. Shrek movies have always taken characters and ideas out of fairy tales, and re-illustrating them in different ways to make them more charming, or in some situations they might even make the characters more raunchy, giving the characters a more mature personality and look instead of a childish one. There'll be a video in the description that talks more about this. This is where the spoilers begin, so please, watch the film if you haven't. Something the Shrek movies were never known for were its action sequences. So I was so surprised to actually really like the fights in this movie. The fight scenes were amazing alone, but it's the intent and the reasoning behind the fights that make it so great. By the end of the movie, they reveal that the bounty hunter wolf is actually death itself, and Puss is trying to overcome the fact that he's on his last life, since cats have 9. We can already see perfect synergy between these two just by that fact alone. Something Death does well in this movie is how he portrays
fear. What's the matter? Lives flashing before your eyes?
And all throughout the movie, Puss is only running, clinging to his last life. It makes clear to the audience how serious their fight will be. I was watching this movie expecting to hate the side characters, but even they were fleshed out perfectly well. They synergized perfectly with Puss and his situation. I love how Jack Horner and the 3 bears were depicted in this movie.
Out with it, you old biddy, or I'll have your guts for garters. Too hard. That was not just right. Oi, baby, sniff him out.
You don't tell me what to do.
Listen to your sister, baby.
Oh, she's not my sister. She's a fugitive orphan.
The main plot about this movie is how they're fighting over a map which leads to something called the Last Wish that grants any wish you want. Hence why Puss is after it, because he wants to get all 9 of his lives back. The side characters are hunting for the map as well. This creates more conflict for Puss outside of just dealing with death. This movie unexpectedly just baffles me at how fucking well they executed it. You have to remember that this is a fucking cat. Like how the fuck are you supposed to make this cool, you know what I mean? I have such high hopes for the next Shrek movie. If they stick to the style, Shrek will be different, but it will be so much better than before, with this paintbrush-like style and the fast-paced fighting scenes. The next Shrek movie has so much potential and I am ready for it. DreamWorks and Sony are setting a bar right now, a bar that other studios will soon follow. But now the style is beginning to evolve into other studios, such as DreamWorks, allowing other studios to use this method and apply their own style to it. Soon, we'll be seeing a bunch of movies with this animation method.